Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hunt Lift Eat podcast, brought to you by Hunt Lift Eat Official on Instagram. Carrie, it's been a minute since we've done one of these, hasn't it?
Not that long, man. You did leave me unsupervised for the last one, so we'll see how that one turns out.
Everybody, we're recording this on April 23rd, so tomorrow, stand by for the new episode. Give Carrie lots of feedback. No, I'm sure it was great, man. You're getting the hang of this podcast thing.
That's getting there, yeah. Yeah, I still screwed up. I mean, dude, I had to do 2 takes, man. We got about over half an hour into the last one and then realized that we were not recording. So,
yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it, man.
Yeah. This one's going to be a good one, man. I'm excited for this one, too.
Yeah, for sure. We'd like to welcome Chance Skelton jumping on the podcast today, owner-operator of Rut Holsters and HLE team member, team lead.
Yep.
You can wear a lot of hats, Chance.
Probably wear too many if you ask my wife, but that's kind of the lifestyle that I go with. I just stay busy all the time and never slow down. So thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, man. Happy to have you on here. Glad this worked out, man. Been a while since we caught up, dude. I'm glad I saw you guys posting some stuff on y'all's most recent expo at Mile High, and it looked like it was a good show. I had some FOMO not being there with Hunt Lift Eat and seeing you guys there, and a lot of our good friends at some other vendors at that event, man. But it looked like a great time.
Yeah, Mile High was a great show. We were slammed a couple of days. Just me and my wife were running the booth on Sunday, and we had more people than we could talk to at one point. And I'm pretty sure that's when Bubba decided to swing by and video. And I'm like, dude, I'm in over my head at this point. We had like 12 people around the booth in different groups, and I'm trying to talk to these ones. These guys are trying on vinyl harnesses with holsters, and my wife's talking to another group over here, and I'm just bouncing everywhere. It was wild, but it was fun. My girls came down on Friday. They did the youth elk calling competition. So that's always that's my favorite thing, is just getting my daughters involved, and they love to just go do those youth elk calling. My 7-year-old, I told her she can go elk hunting with me this year. She gets to tag along, and I told her she can come call for me because she's probably a better elk caller at this point than I am. So I figure I might as well utilize what I've got in my back pocket. So
there you go.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Any secret weapon.
Yeah, awesome. I missed Mile High this year, man, but last year, dude, it was so much fun, man. Such a great crew that they have out there. Like all the vendors, like this isn't like mom and pop bringing their trinkets to sell on the weekend, man. Like those are like big name, like great, like big products in the outdoor industry. Like everybody there is like super vetted, man. So it's always a good time.
Yeah, it was kind of our first big boy show of jumping in with the big boys, and man, we had a blast, and everybody down there, just so supportive. All the different vendors, we, talked with everybody when we got the opportunity to, at the end of show or at the beginning of show before people started rolling through. And obviously, made the rounds, Kafaru, Sheep Feet, all the great companies down there that just, they're products I use, products I love, and it was great to get to catch up with all of them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have yet to work a show or an expo. Carrie, you have a lot of experience, and now Chance, you're running it from your own business side of things, man. Are you, and you're a mom and pop, your family run operation / a Chance run operation. Are you just smoked after shows like that?
Just so worn out. Like neither me or my wife had a voice by the time we were done, just because it gets so loud. You're almost yelling just to hold a regular conversation. That like Monday we got back, you don't have a voice. You're not doing anything overly hard, but just interacting. I mean, I bet you we did great on orders, and we gave away at least like 300 business cards. So you figure we talked to 300 plus people within 3 days, and you're just exhausted from just interaction with people. Like it just wears you down. But at the same time, it's a blast, and it's so much fun. And then on top of it, I'm chasing a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old around while they're screaming through bugle tubes at every person that walks by the booth and just causing trouble as much as they can. But that's, like I said, that's what makes it fun. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's great, man. You met some really cool people there too. I was talking to you, new young up and comer on Instagram came by and talked to you and some other individuals. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Milo. If you guys haven't, go check out Milo. I think he's Instagram and YouTube, the Endangered Hunter. Man, just a cool kid. He's I don't even know how old he is. He's probably maybe 13, 14 years old, I would guess, but he's all in on the hunting lifestyle. And he's got his own YouTube, his own Instagram, trying to promote youth hunting. So like just a super, super stand-up kid. He came by, he wanted to order a holster for him when he's out hunting with his own money. Just one of those things. He came by, he'd earned money, he'd talked to his dad and him came by. We did a little quick interview with him and got a holster on order for him, a setup for him so that, he's all ready to go out there and do his thing.
That's awesome, man. How, you've gone through some of the highs and lows of building your own business and having your own company and everything that goes into that. How cool is it? Like, I just thought, how refreshing would it be to see like a young kid trying to, start on his own 2 feet and like start his own, build his brand on social media and that kind of stuff. Was that kind of refreshing to see?
It was awesome. He came by and we chatted for a bit, and then I ran him over and I got him hooked up with Bubba at your guys' booth there at the expo to do some interviews with Bubba. From there, we took him over to Guy with Western Contours and hooked him up with Guy, and Guy just kind of ran him through all the booths and got him interviews with all the big people, all the important people, So it's just that, getting him some exposure, some interviews, some stuff like that to help him grow, because that's what's going to grow what we love. What's going to grow hunting is the youth getting involved and us taking the time to interact with them and not just, ignoring them because, oh, well, it's just a kid. Well, that kid is the next generation of hunters, and we need to be, in my opinion, we need to be investing in them as much as we can. Same with my daughters. My 7-year-old's been shooting a bow since she was 3 years old and could hold her little toy bow, and she'd put on her princess dress and grab her bow. Like, I'd go out to shoot and she'd be like, hang on, I got to change. I'm like, you're in jeans and a t-shirt. What are you changing? She'd go put on her princess dress and grab her bow. And that's what she went out to shoot with me in. And,
yeah,
she's got her own compound. She's got her own bugle tubes. She was down there, all the game call companies, Phelps, Mile High, Elk Bros, they all hooked her up with a bunch of reeds, bugle tubes, cow calls. Like, just seeing this industry invest in youth for me is just one of the coolest things.
She's going to be your secret weapon on the mountain this year.
That's the hope. She does it all right now just by voice. So I'm like, I better take advantage of that until she can't hit that high note with just her voice anymore. So she's pretty awesome.
That's awesome, man. With it's good to hear. It's refreshing to hear about like so much positivity in the outdoor industry space, and that there's good companies out there that stand by some core values that I know are important to you, Chance. In January, our friend Armando with the Bow Hitch, right? He was running his Random Acts of Kindness giveaway that he does every year, and I saw you were a part of that too.
Yeah, Mondo. I think Mondo's the glue that holds the outdoor industry together.
Yeah.
I like to joke because if you're in this industry, like, Mondo, and he's just the nicest guy in the world. When we had our little boy, he brought us a bunch of diapers and stuff to one of the events that we went to that he was at, and was just so excited that, the first thing, he was one of the groups of first people that got pictures of him as soon as he was born. And he just gives back so much. We try to do the same. We try to emulate him as much as we can, give back to our community and any community we get the opportunity to.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love the most about you and your wife, man. When I met you guys in Colorado, was that 2-3 years ago, man, at our little Thanksgiving get together that the Cox we put on. You had your kids there, and I was missing my kids, and I was in the early days of fatherhood, and you were like, life is good, man. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. And I was like, yes, these are my people, man. These are people I want to hitch my wagon to. Like that type of, family orientation is a huge credit to you and how you how you conduct yourself and how you run your business, Chance.
Yeah. That's just my life as a dad. I just take them everywhere. I think it might have even been Aaron Schneider I heard say it, that like, don't miss out on these young days. He was talking, I think, about his kid, and don't miss out on these young days while they're little. Like, yeah, it might take you an extra 20 minutes to get them in the car while you go run that 10-minute errand. But for them, that means the world. So it's taking that time. Traveling with them to shows, like, is it always easy? No, it's not, but it's so much fun. Like Western Hunt Fest, they've been doing those with us since those guys started. And I mean, we joke at New Mexico one, like, they just run feral. My kids disappear for hours at a time with a group of other vendor kids, and they'll show back up just covered in dirt and just having the time of their life. And the number of times I'm like, have you seen my kids? Like, has anybody seen my kids? And they're like, oh yeah, they're over there. And I'm like, okay, good. At least we know where they're at. But like, they just love it. They're packing their bows around. They're packing their bugle tubes around. They're just running and doing the whole thing every time we're at any event. And my 4-year-old, man, she's a firecracker. That's the one that'll just disappear if I'm not careful, but she keeps us on our toes.
She'll be running that gang of vendor kids before she knows it.
We make the joke all the time. She's either going to run a giant corporation or a prison gang, and I'm not sure which one at this point in her life, because that is her personality.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm glad things have been good, man. Maybe we could start here at the beginning, Chance. Maybe you could give us a quick kind of rundown of the origin story of Rut Holsters and, what inspired you to go this route. Because you picked a difficult route, right? Entrepreneurship and inventing and building and creating with your hands that's a challenging route.
Yeah, I mean, really, it started me and one of my best friends, Shane Stevens. We couldn't find what we wanted to carry, how we wanted to carry when we were hunting. And man, I dove deep down the rabbit hole of looking into different holsters, looking into different brands. How could I retrofit theirs to make them work for what I wanted? And by the time I was done looking at buying that holster, buying the parts I wanted to retrofit it and changing everything, I then looked at just buying the stuff to make my own. And honestly, it was cheaper to buy the stuff to make my own at that point, just for me and him and maybe a couple buddies, than it was to actually like go try and retrofit and redesign somebody else's product. And that's kind of how we started. Is I made some of those. I was just making some here and there. It was mostly just to go on your backpack. And then I got to playing around one day out in the shop, and I was like, dude, I bet I can make something that goes below your bino harness that's a little bit more my style. It doesn't have extra straps, because like I hate putting on a bino harness, and I hate putting on a backpack and strapping everything to you and going out all day long. Like, the last thing I want is to strap another piece of gear to my body. That I wanted something that was just clean and easy, and I could set it there. So I got to playing around one day, and I was running the marsupial harness at the time, and I made the first prototype, and I took a really crappy picture of it in our bedroom mirror, threw it up on social media, tagged marsupial gear in it, and they shared it. And then I started getting messages through Instagram. We didn't have a website. We didn't have anything yet. I started getting messages of like, where can I get this? How do I get one of these? What's the cost on this? And I was like, what have I done? Like, what have I just created? And my wife saw all this stuff coming through, and she's like, we're LLCing. We're setting up everything. Like, we are not laying back. We're going to do this right from the get-go. Like, luckily she went to college for like business degree and all the stuff. So she's great on the financial backside. Whereas like, I'm terrible.
Yeah.
Like I went to school to rodeo. Like, I was a rodeo cowboy. I rode bucking horses and drank beer and graduated community college in 3 years because I like to ride bucking horses and party. And yeah, so like, luckily I have her in my back pocket, because I was making up numbers in my head and sending them out and like just running numbers. And she's like, no, like, we can't do that. She sat down, ran all the back end margins, all the pricing, everything, built all the spreadsheets, did all the work. And, then we went over and we set up the website and got everything like legitimate. And, it's still my favorite thing is still when people come to me with some one-offs like, hey, do you think you can do this? And I'm like, I don't know. Give me a week, give me a couple weeks. Let me play with some ideas, see what I can come up with. Honestly, that's our behind the bino harness one, was that type of scenario. Is a customer that had purchased one of our below the harness ones came to me, is like, I sit in a saddle So I'm saddle hunting, and that one below my harness, like I just can't, it's not comfortable. Can you make something that would go behind the harness? And like, I was like, maybe. So I played with it, and I played with it for 3 days out in the shop, and I was overcomplicating everything is what it turned out, because I came back inside and I was like, I can't do it. My wife's like, why don't you just make like a paddle that slips into the pocket of the bino harness? And I was like, because that's a really good idea. And that's kind of the story of how the behind the harness one was born. It was all her idea of like, why don't you simplify this and just let it slip right into that pocket on the back of your harness? And from there, we've kind of just built on that into our modular system. Because when I had one behind the harness, like I love it there, but if I just want to go pack out, I want to be able to move it from behind that harness to my pack belt, because if I'm just going to go haul meat, I'm not going to throw my bino harness on if I don't have to. If I'm not using my binos for a purpose, they can stay at the truck, they can stay at camp. I can just throw on the pack and go haul meat, but still being able to have that pistol with me, being able to protect myself when you're out there.
I don't know,
All
man.
the way.
I'm going to make the argument for keeping your bino harness while you're packing out, man. Right? Because when you're sucking wind, right, and you're just having a terrible time, if you pull your binos out while you're catching your breath, you totally look like you're just scanning and not that you're sucking.
So that's a valid point. I'm just like, I hate having stuff.
That's funny. I'm gonna take that, Kerry, because then Luke can't yell at me for stopping. I'll be like, no, dude, I see something over there. Just hold on.
Then by the time he pulls his up, you're like, oh, it moved off, dude. You missed it. It went back over the hill. Like you can't see it anymore now.
That's funny, man. Well, huge kudos and shout out to your wife and to all the great wives out there that help run our lives efficiently.
Oh man, without her, we wouldn't be where we're at. That's for sure. She's kind of the glue that keeps the business, the family, everything on track. Like I said, we have about 1 million irons in the fire, from being a regional lead with you guys, to the business, to my full-time job, to we run the marriage ministry at our church. We're both on the worship at the church. Like we got so many irons in the fire that without her being there to support me and keep everything going, like I don't know where we would be at. My life would be in shambles, because I can't keep my schedule straight to save my life half the time.
Yeah, me neither, man. I get it. Yeah. That's awesome. Now I have a question. When Marsupial shared that picture, did you have a name? Were you Rut Holsters yet, or were you just like totally?
We just came up with the name, I think, like 2 weeks before.
Okay.
Like literally just came up with the name, because like everybody's like, just name it this, just name it something simple, you can change it. And like I'd always been taught, like once you set that name, you want that name to carry. Like you don't want to change it, because then it just causes confusion on your business side. So I was trying to find that name that fully represented us. And obviously my passion was for the outdoor industry carry. So I want something that correlated both, but I still do your standard inside the waistband and a little bit of everything. And so like one day I was just driving and I was like retained under tension. Like that's what a Kydex holster is. It's retaining your weapon under a tension setting. And that's where Rut Holsters came from, was retained under tension. It doubles back over into the outdoor industry, because obviously I'm an archery hunter. So when you're out hunting elk, you're hunting the rut. And so it just kind of all fell together when I came up with that name, and that's what we hitched our wagon to.
That's awesome.
That's a badass name too. I didn't know the rut actually stood for something else too. That's cool.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I worked on it forever, trying to come up with a name that would fit what we wanted it to be, and that one, it just kind of grouped everything together with that Kydex. And yeah, since then we've just kind of ran with it. Like I said, we started off with just pack holsters and some inside the waistband, and now I couldn't even tell you how many different models of holster we have off the top of my head. We've got a bunch of different options for you to be able to carry outdoors. We've got a couple different options for your inside the waistband stuff. Just kind of trying to make it comfortable and easy for for everybody, for women specific, more women kind of specific carry options that relate to the exercising portion of outdoors. The ulti clip that I was showing Carrie before we started recording, like my wife loves that because she lives in leggings half the time, and she's able to conceal carry in leggings with that holster without having to worry about having a belt on and everything else, all the way to trigger guards to throw inside of her purse, your center console, a fanny pack, just all that type of stuff. Just coming up with different ways to keep things safe. Obviously, we got littles, so like for me, finding a way to keep your firearm safe around your littles is another big one on top of it, because you want it with you. But I know for a long time I was bad. I'd throw it in the center console, the pickup just loose. And the last thing I need is my 7-year-old digging through my center console, the pickup with the trigger exposed, because I carry with a round in the chamber. Obviously, that's the last thing I want is her to be able to get her finger on a trigger. On like my Glock has no safety, so if she gets her finger on the trigger, then we're in trouble. So the trigger guards for that purpose of it keeps it where she can't hit that trigger, but I can clear that weapon super quick and easy. My wife does the same thing in her purse nowadays. Instead of having a holster in your purse where you're grabbing out a holster to then clear a firearm, you can just grab it and clear it with that trigger guard in one move.
Yeah, I'm a big fanny pack guy, so like that trigger guard stuff is super cool for being able to carry that way. It's not the fastest, if you've got to pull your gun in a hurry, there's definitely faster options even for concealed carry, but as far as comfort, all day wear, man, like it's hard to beat that fanny pack.
I've had a couple customers that took that trigger guard, and what they did is I put paracord on the end of it, and they'll stitch that in to their fanny pack so that you can literally just grab it and pull, and that trigger guard snaps off inside of your fanny pack as you're clearing the weapon. And we've had women do it with their purses too, where they'll just find a pocket and they'll stitch that trigger guard into that pocket to where you don't have a holster. You just have that trigger guard that when you clip it in, it's safe in the purse. But if you grab it out of the purse, it's coming out ready to use.
Yeah, that's awesome. My fanny pack's got a little loop sewn in, and so I just girth hitch that 550. So as I'm pulling out, that it's dropping away as I'm clearing from the fanny pack.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm actually glad we're talking about carry options, man, because I'd love to, kind of talk a little bit more about the different options of carrying that you have. Because we were talking a little bit before, and what was it, about a month ago or something like that? I was taking my dog for a hike out in the public land, and I had some just absolutely insane woman hold me at gunpoint till I got in the truck. Basically super upset that I had a dog out there, freaked out, pulled a gun on me. And I've had enough guns pointed at me, and I've pointed enough guns at people to know that no matter what you're doing, like when someone's got a gun on you, you kind of just need to comply until you get away, go find cover or something. So anyways, I wasn't carrying, because honestly, I just don't have a really good way to carry that I'm comfortable with, right? When I'm hiking and stuff like that. I also never thought public land in Kentucky I would need a pistol, but apparently I do. But yeah, so I ended up jumping in the truck, and I basically pulled around the corner just out of eyesight. I was like, I can't go back and detain this woman. There's no way I'm going to get within striking distance. I ended up calling the sheriff. And the sheriff's like, well, why didn't you kill her? I'm like, because I'm not carrying. So yeah, I've been actually looking through your site, trying to figure out good ways to kind of fix that issue that I was, I've 9 deployments, 7 of them in combat, and I've had everybody and their mom, try to kill me in the other parts of the world, and I'm gonna end up getting smoked by some middle-aged woman who's just out of her mind here in Kentucky. So I've been talking to Chan. He works for Taurus, another team member, talking about hooking up with another concealed carry option. I have a not full size, a Glock 19 that I would normally carry if I thought I was going into something where I would need a firearm, short of a rifle. But I just can't figure out a good way to carry that pistol while I'm just hiking or hunting, whether it's bow hunting, rifle hunting, or even just, going for a ruck out in the woods, man. So, dude, that's another reason I was super pumped to get you on the podcast, man, to talk to you about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, concealed carry, like for when you're outdoors, like I was showing you guys, this Ulti-Clip one, I'll use this on trail runs. I'll use this anytime I'm going out without a backpack on. If I want to conceal carry, we have obviously mountain lion issues here in Colorado. They tried to even get rid of our mountain lion season, and our numbers are ridiculous here in Colorado. Where I trail run, there's been quite a few cat sightings. So like, I'll throw this in my compression shorts, and this clip right here, if you can see it, get it over here by the door. This clip right there will actually just compression clip down to any fabric. So I'll throw it in my compression shorts, go out on a 3-4 mile trail run. This is just I use my wife's little 365 for that because it's tiny and little and stays out of my way. Yep, same Ulti-Clip as what you see like on Montana knives. They're great. It's a great carry clip. It doesn't move once it's in place. For me, if I'm not going to have a backpack on me, this is what I'm going with. On top of it, Colorado's fairly liberal, so I try to conceal when I can just because I don't want to deal with the headaches of conversations and everything that comes around when you're out on a public trail of, the BS. So for me, if I'm not doing anything like that, that's going to be my go-to, whether it's my wife's 365, my little Glock 43X. You can do them even with the bigger size pistols with that Ulti-Clip. We have a bigger Ulti-Clip even that's a little bit wider that we can throw on them for those full size handguns. That still gives you that retention. That clip honestly takes work to open and close it because it's about 1.5 sizes standard Ulti-Clip. So it's a big beefy clip that'll still keep that retention. Like I said, I throw it in my compression shorts. My wife carries this way in her leggings, even in her jeans because she doesn't wear a belt. And honestly, most concealed carry options, if you're not wearing a belt, there's not a whole lot of options of how you're going to attach it. Whereas this, like I said, it gives that ability. If I want to carry tucked, this is a great option too because I can actually tuck my shirt in between that Ulti-Clip and the holster. And I'm actually able to carry with my shirt tucked in, where the only thing shown is going to be this little black piece of this Ulti-Clip. That's all you're going to see. So it gives you that great option to still be able to carry even with your shirt tucked in.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's definitely a tough one to kind of crack is being able to tuck your shirt in, especially if you got to dress somewhat formal or classy or whatever. With me when I dress fancy is putting on a collar shirt of any type. So
yeah, I mean,
I never even thought about that because I got that clip on that knife. I don't have one on a holster for a pistol, man. But that's a fantastic idea for that.
It's just a great option of a way to be able to still have that concealed carry option, whether you have a belt on, whether you're tucking your shirt in. Obviously, my standard one is honestly out in my pickup right now because it clips into my truck where I can keep it tucked away next to my center console. But it goes over my belt because if I'm in jeans 90% of the time, I've got a big leather belt on where I can carry easy that way. So that's my go-to. But if I'm tucking in a shirt, trail run, not wearing a belt, that's my go-to. And then when you get into kind of having a backpack on, having a bino harness on, obviously our options are kind of unlimited. Our newest stuff is going to be our modular system. So this is just a tech mount. Blade Tech makes it along with our tech lock mount. We just swapped over to this system. We were running the TMMS system from Blade Tech, but they're discontinuing it. So we swapped over to this tech mount. And honestly, like when you go to the holster side, what you're going to get is this round receiver plate, and it clips into this. And from there, if I hit this button, I can index this around wherever I want to, so I can get that comfortable set for a draw. You're able to just adjust that angle perfect for you. It locks, so then it's not going to come out. Unlock it, and you can pop it right out of there. So I leave one of these on my backpack all the time, so I never have to mess with taking clips in and out of MOLLE. Once it's in the MOLLE on my Kafaru, like this just lives on my belt. Whether I'm carrying or not there, this is just there, so I don't have to re-gear. If I want to swap holsters, I've got my wife's 365 holster with the same mount on it. I can clip it right in. So if I don't want to carry a 10 millimeter, I want to carry a 9 millimeter here in Colorado, it's just plug and play. You don't have to go through changing everything out. it gives you that ability just to swap holsters out on the fly, change your gear up without taking 20 minutes to wedge something through a PALS loop and make sure it's attached right. You can do it once and your system's set. From there, the system I've got there will also actually go like behind your bino harness. This is our paddle. This is for my wife's marsupial. Put them on an angle. This is our newest update, so that once you set that holster, it's just going to help shift that weight a little bit to center that bino harness, so it's not all hanging down off of one side. That angle just helps kind of drive that weight to more center of your chest, especially with my big 10 millimeter, because that SIG 10, like with a full magazine in it, that thing gets real heavy real quick. But it just kind of shifts that weight, so it kind of balances it out a little bit better. And these just run on a Blade Tech Molly clip, hard Molly clip. And then I've just got a cutout on the top where it just feeds right through. And it clips right in.
Oh, that's
so now
cool.
I'm able to throw.
Dude,
I'm able to throw that. I'm able to throw that right in behind my bino harness, and I can carry it right there on my chest. Or if I want to move it, it's a quick, simple unhook it, pull the paddle out, throw it down on my hip belt into that tech mount. Just that fully modular system. Any of our modular systems are going to come with 2 of these, because that way you have one to throw on your pack, one to throw in your pack, especially hunting Montana, Wyoming. I know the team just moved up to Wyoming. Obviously, grizzlies become a concern. Get back to camp, you can throw one of these on your belt. So then you're able to pull your holster either off your bino harness, off your pack, throw this on your belt, and you can go sit up by the fire still, eat your dinner, go do whatever you need to do. Instead of, the norm was to get back to camp, you shed your pack, you shed your bino harness. Where's your pistol end up? It ends up in your tent, in your truck, in your camper. And then you go cook food, where you're more likely to run into a bear because you're drawing them in with scent, you're drawing them in with motion, all the things where you're inviting them in, but everybody's put their bear spray, their pistols, everything in their tent, in their pickup, in their camper. These weigh nothing, so you're able just to throw it in your backpack, even if you're spike camping.
That's those horror stories of those grizzly attacks, man, is like, oh, everybody's pistols were in their pack that they had set down over there or whatever against the tree. So that modularity really keeps you in the game.
Cleaning an animal, if I want to take my pack off to clean an animal, same thing. Pull this out of my pack. I can throw this on my belt. My pack's not sitting 30 feet away from me with my pistol on it. I'm not having to leave my bino harness on, dragging it through everything. I'm able just to move it over to my belt and just go to work and take care of stuff and still have my pistol accessible at all times.
Yeah, that's awesome. I ended up on my Alaska trip, and we were actually chasing bears, so we were definitely in bear country. But yeah, I had one that was it hung below my bino harness, and it was super fucking annoying. So I ended up taking it off, and it stayed in my tent, And you're right. Like once you get an animal down, like I had my rifle, luckily we were, because we were rifle hunting. But even then, man, like it's laying over here while we're working on the animal, or same thing, we're cooking or eating. My rifle may be set up beside me or near me, but not on me. So if something were to happen, like having that pistol on there would be great. The other thing too is, man, when nature calls and you got to go tuck off in a bush somewhere, having that pistol with you is a lot better than trying to, carry that rifle around and find somewhere to put it, especially out there in Alaska. We got all those little like alders and all that kind of shit. But yeah, dude, like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of any of this beforehand, because it all makes perfect sense. But I just needed somebody else to say, oh yeah, take 2 holsters. You have one for your pack and one for your belt. I'm like, oh shit, I'm an idiot.
And that's where like the modular system even helps, is you can just use that one holster. We also make these hard mount where they come with a set of screws to say mount them to under your desk if you want to. If you want to throw holes in your pickup, or I haven't found a good adhesive that I'm in love with yet for just sticking these ones to a truck yet. That's what I'm kind of on the hunt for, is a good adhesive. We run into the problem here in Colorado with cold. When adhesives get cold, they lose all their adhesion, and that's when things tend to fall off, especially if you're throwing a 10 millimeter or something heavy. And as soon as that temperature gets down, below 10 degrees, it seems like all the adhesives just want to quit you and fall off of everything. So we're working on figuring that out. But the whole thought process for me is kind of one holster that you can use in multiple scenarios instead of having to go buy, 3 different holsters to make work. There's a local shop here down in Greeley, close to where we live, that he really wants one for under his desk, and we're in the process of getting him one because he runs a cash register, but he doesn't want to leave a holster where everybody can see it all the time when he's not there. He just wants something he can clip in when he leaves, clip out, and be able to take it with him. So it just adds to that full system of you can carry wherever you need to, however you need to, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
When you said adhesive, my thought went the opposite direction, and I thought heat. When it's 100 degrees here in Georgia, outside in August or whatever, and I don't know, 110 in the truck or whatever. My truck is dark. It's like a charcoal color. It gets hot in there, man. Yeah, when you figure out that adhesive part of the solution here, that'll be huge.
Yeah, like I said, that's what we're in the works on. I've got some buddies and people kind of testing stuff, trying stuff out, so we can try and find one that'll hold, because we get the heat. Like, we don't obviously get the humidity that you guys get down there, but even out here on the plains in Colorado, I mean, everybody's like, well, your average temperature is like 72 degrees. And I was like, yeah, that's because we hit negative 40 in the wintertime and we hit 120 in the summertime. So we get the full range of all the temperatures here on the eastern plains of Colorado. Like, that's why it is that way. So, that's the nice thing out here is we get that full gambit to test something as far as weather conditions go, especially in a truck, because I can throw one of these in my work truck and throw my heavy mold guns in them because I work oil field, so we're not allowed to carry, but I can throw a heavy enough mold gun in them and take it down some oil field lease roads. And I'll tell you what, you're not going to find much rougher roads than some of them oil field lease roads. So it's a good test to see what holds and what doesn't hold. And so everything kind of gets put through the ringer before we just decide to throw it out there. Because obviously I want a product that I can put my name on, that I can put my business name on.
For sure. That modularity and that customization is really what sets Rut Holsters apart, man. And your willingness to work the problems. I've heard, I don't know, at least a dozen stories of people coming to you and being like, this is what I want to do. Can you do this? And then you figure it out, right? Like, that's huge. Is that a huge pro of the job? Do you like working the problem?
That's my favorite thing, is like getting to try something new. Like, it's just my personality. Like, when somebody's like, can you do this? I think I don't know if I've got it sitting close by. Yeah, there it is. Hang on. All my molds are like right below me. I had a guy that had one of the 22s that had kind of the bull barrel on it, and he wanted to be able to use it. Well, the only mold I could find had a narrow barrel on it. So I just went and bought a dowel. I had him measure it, bought a dowel, measured out the dowel so it would fit right, molded it up, sent it out to him. And it was something that honestly fit perfect, was able to work. But it was one of those, like, how can I solve this problem for this guy so that he's able to carry what he wants to while in the field? And like I said, that's kind of the fun part for me, is getting to tear things into things and try something new with something that people, haven't done yet. The archery release holsters, those have been fun to do too, just because, like, it's something different for me. I get to play with things. I get to play the game and change things up a little bit. So.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about your archery release holsters, man. When did that come about? What was the origin of that? Because I'm always losing mine. I carry 2 for that reason.
That would be the origin of it. Is I just went to a handheld release, and like, I was the worst about tucking it in my bino harness when we were out shooting 3D, or shoving it in a pocket, or putting it in my hip quiver, or throwing it in a pocket on my pack. And then we'd get to the next target and I'd be like, where is that release at? And so for me, it was just, I did it for myself because I was like, I need something that I can keep track of this thing all the time. So just making one I can clip on my hip quiver or my pack, depending if I'm 3D shooting or if I'm out hunting, and I know right where it's at every single time, and I'm able just to grab it and not have to worry about where did I put that thing? Like where did I set it at this time? Ours are a little bit more specific to every release. So with that one, I tell people you have to mail me your release, so I can mold directly to yours, so you get that good retention fit. And with that, I don't charge shipping to return because you're having to pay to ship to me. So I just kind of let that shipping wash on either side of it, because you're paying to ship to me, I'm paying to ship back. We wash it out. And those are a little bit quicker than my full holster rig. So I try to get those done within about a week of receiving a release holster, because I'm an archery guy. Like, I get it. If you want to go shoot, being without your release, if you only have one, is like
the problem.
Murder of like, I can't go shoot. Like, especially this time of year here in Colorado, it's getting warm out, it's getting nice out. Like, that's all you want to do is get outside and shoot your bow. But if you're shipping off your release to get a holster made, I'm going to try and get that turnaround done a little bit quicker for people, because obviously I know the pain of not having it. And then, yeah, I went to that handheld. I went to a hinge. So I have one for my hinge, one for my handheld, for my thumb release. But just that ability just to have it where you need it, not have to chase it, lose it. Yeah, that was kind of the birth of those, was me moving over from a finger release to a thumb release and being like, I'm going to lose this thing if I'm not careful. And they cost way too much money for me to just lose it.
It's only one of the reasons, but it is one of the reasons why I hunt with an index release. You know, I'll shoot hinges, I'll shoot thumb buttons and all that in the backyard, 3D courses, whatever. But that is one of the reasons why I only use an index release when I'm hunting, because I'm like, I'm going to lose it too. I'm going to stick it in my vinyl harness. It's going to fall out, put it in my pocket, forget about it. Moment of truth comes and I can't find my release, you know?
Oh, yeah. Dude, 110. I'm that same guy that I'll just tuck it somewhere. And then when the moment gets there, you're like, where'd I put it? And, you know, you hear people like, oh, just clip it on your bow. Dude, hiking through Colorado timber, if I clipped it on my bow, I'd have lost it 100 yards into the woods.
Yep. You know, like even in my tree stand, like I've had it where I'll bump it or something. And I've tried walking with it, you know, just to test it. And I've had it fall off. Like, I don't know how people do that. There's no way. Maybe they've got a really cold button on theirs, man, but maybe mine's too hot or something. But yeah, like I've had them fall off.
I would still run an index, but my index finger is real punchy. So if I'm shooting an index, I'm punching that index release so hard that like I went to that thumb just to get away from just snapping that index release. It forces me to kind of slow down a little bit and just go through that shot process every time. Whereas you put my index finger on a trigger and it just wants to hit it as soon as I get on target. So
yeah, dude, I went through a bout of that, man, with my thumb button actually. Like, I think the last time someone watched me shoot my thumb button, they said it looked like I was beating my ex-wife. I hit it so hard. But yeah, I'm with you though. But mine's just opposite. For now, anyways, it goes in cycles.
That's why I got the hinge, was to still help with that punching. And then I love shooting a hinge, and it terrifies me all at the same time. They're the best tool and the scariest tool. I punched myself in the nose at least twice when I first started shooting it. If you shoot a hinge and tell me you haven't punched yourself in the nose, I don't know that I can believe you, because it is bound to happen at some point. You get your wrist just a little out of position and you get about here to that draw cycle and it's like, pop, and you're like, all right.
I've done it with a back tension release too.
Not holding that safety down. Yeah, I had one for a little while, and you get a little lax on holding that safety down on that tension, and same thing. All of a sudden, it's like, you're like, oh.
Well, somebody handed it to me and told me to give it a shot, and didn't tell me it was. So I get it on there, and I go, and like from here, straight in my face.
Oh,
yeah.
Where do you carry your release holster when you're hunting, Chance?
Depending on which vinyl harness I'm running, usually makes a difference for me on what the molly setups are. Some of them have really good options. Kafaru's, I think, has pals all across it, so I'm able to throw it just on the front of my harness with that one. Some of the other ones, like the Catamount's another one I love to run. That one I'll throw it up on a shoulder strap, or I'll throw it down below on the pals on the bottom. But a lot of times I'm carrying one of my knives down on the bottom of my bino harness, so that I always have at least a knife. Like one of my favorite hunts out here in Colorado is archery antelope. I have yet to spot and stalk an archery antelope, but it is the funnest like to try. But I also know antelope, the first thing you want to do is get them gutted out and get them cooling off as quick as you can to keep that meat good. You hear people tell you antelope meat's not that great, but honestly, if you get it cooled fast enough and process that meat right, it's one of my favorites. So I always throw one of my knives down below that way, because I'll just go out with just my bino harness half the time on the stock, trying to stay small and being able out here on the flats to keep my profile down. That way I at least have a knife with me. I can get that animal gutted out, start getting it skinned out to get that meat cooling before I got to run back to the truck and grab like a full set of knives to start quartering up. I at least have that option with me. So it kind of just depends on the system I'm running. I usually throw it somewhere on my bino harness, just that way if I'm dropping a pack to go for a stock or anything like that, I still have it with me.
Yeah, if you love getting blown on 20 stocks, go chase antelope with a bow on the eastern plains of Colorado. If you're a glutton for punishment, that's the way to go.
I am. I love it. The guys with like Cutter Stabilizer, we end up almost always on the same schedule for one of the good areas out here on the northeastern plains, and we run into each other and we share stories all the time of getting blown out. You know, you put a stock on, you crawl for an hour through cactus and sagebrush, and then you think you're close and you like look up and you're like that antelope's nowhere to be seen at this point. You're like, what in the world just, and then from behind you, you hear that like, and you're like, he's right behind me. Like he's literally standing right behind me right now.
Yeah, they're the coolest. That's awesome. Way cool. Hey, I have a dumb question about Kydex, Chance. I know what Kydex is, right? I'm familiar, but like when you have it, how does Kydex come to you when you order it before you make a holster? I've always been curious about before the actual molding process, what that looks like.
I cannot drop everything in my coffee. All good. It comes to me basically just in a sheet.
Okay.
So it's just a thermoplastic. So it's going to come to me like this in a hard sheet. Usually I order them either 12 by 12, 8 by 8, or 12 by 24, depending on what I'm ordering. If it's specific, like multicam, this one's for a specific order for somebody. But yeah, it's going to come to me like this, and it's a thermoplastic. So then you heat it up to, I usually go between 350 degrees on heat. And once you do that, it's going to move like fabric. It's going to turn almost like this t-shirt material. It's going to be that soft once it's up at that temp. And then you wrap it around, say, where's a good mold gun? Like you wrap it around just a mold gun like this, because I don't like molding to actual firearms when I'm heating up that hot. Knives releases, I wrap those in basically blue painter's tape to help break up that thermal a little bit from getting to any knife or any archery release, to help just give it a break between them. It also creates a little bit of distance between when you're putting that releaser knife in and out of either the release holster or the sheath. But it's going to turn almost like fabric, and then I put it in a press and just let it cool. And once it cools, it's going to harden back to this same rigidity. And that's where you get all your retention. That is how tight it fits to whatever you're molding it to. And then I mean, mine, like I said, mine lives in my truck out here, my concealed carry one, and my truck easily probably gets up to 200 degrees out here in the summertime. And you have to get it up over that 300 degree mark to actually lose any of that retention. Is where it's nice, is it'll maintain that same stiffness without heating it up back to that 300 degree mark.
What do you use to heat it? Are you using like hot water, or are you using like a heat gun, or what?
I use a toaster oven.
Okay.
I wanted a heat press. That's the next big investment, because it'll help speed us up. Just basically a t-shirt heat press will help speed us up. When we started, We were super humble in the beginning, and so we started off. I went to the thrift store, and I think I paid $4 for this toaster oven I'm running, and it's still kicking like a champ right now and doing its job. The heat press will just speed it up a little bit more because obviously in that toaster oven, it's the amount of time to get that up to the temp I need, whereas the heat press will just almost instantly with those 2 plates heat that Kydex a little quicker. But we've made the joke, if we ever go big time and get a big shop, that toaster oven's going on the wall somewhere, because that thing has been the pack mule of this company for way too long to just give it away or throw it away at this point. So
it earned its spot as a trophy.
I used to work for a knife maker part time, and I made a lot of Kydex sheaths for knives, man. And dude, it's so easy to mess up a Kydex sheath. But we had the press like that, and you're right, it is fast. I want to say it's 45 seconds or something like that. Put it in there.
Yeah.
Things, you pull it out. Yeah.
That's the next upgrade to the shop. The garage is the shop right now, so that's the next upgrade that'll come in out here. And we were talking before, we have some possible life changes and moves coming up, so I'm not looking to purchase down that road, find out if we're going to be relocating Rut Holsters to a different state. But once we nail down some stuff, that'll be the next investment for the business. Definitely just that time frame of quicker turnaround. Everything we do is, it's hand pressed, it's hand cut, it's hand finished. I put them all together myself. It's something that I just take pride in, that ability of doing it by hand. And we've looked into, if we get big, having to go to maybe some CNC type stuff, but I don't think we'll ever get away from that. Somebody hand finishing them. I use a Dremel to finish all my edges, because to me, a sharp edge or something that's going to dig into you, whether it's concealed carry or hunting carry, like, that's the last thing I want. I want that finish to be just buttery smooth along the edges of that Kydex. So I do all the hand finishing. My wife has quality control. Every time I finish one, I take it into her and she runs her fingers over edges. And if I missed a spot, she'll hand it back to me and be like, you need to hit there some more. And I'm like, fine.
That's awesome, man. Little family business going on.
Have you recruited the kids to start mounting hardware and all that stuff for you?
Not yet. The 7-year-old's close to being to where she'll be ready to start mounting some stuff up here soon. I could probably she'd probably be a huge asset with those little hands and fingers, being able to reach inside holsters, where sometimes I get out here and I'm having to try to use a screwdriver to position something just right because my hand won't fit.
Yeah.
You get into some of those like Kimber micros and some of those little tiny pistols where I'm like, I can't even hardly get like a finger in there to hold a Chicago screw inside to mount something to it. But that's where I should be utilizing her, because she's got little enough fingers. She could probably fit her whole hand inside there and hold whatever I need her to.
That's awesome. What's your most sold style or setup, Chance? I'm always curious, like, what's more popular, either the hanging below, maybe from a hunting application, hanging below the bino harness, or behind, or what's the most popular for Rut?
We do a lot of what is our dual mount. I have one underneath me, but essentially it's similar to this system, just not modular. It would just have this tech lock on the back of it, so it would give you that ability to go below your harness or to a pack belt, just with a little bit more manipulation in between them than what the modular does. We do a lot of those. That was kind of our bread and butter that kind of set us apart for a long time. The modular system we came out with just about a year ago on the old TMMS system. And like I said, we just moved over to this tech mount. Since we moved over to that, though, those have kind of become kind of the staple of what we do, just because of its utility and the ability to move it wherever you need to. That, and then the behind the harness, honestly, has started coming up a lot too. For me, that's my primary way of carrying anymore, is behind my bino harness. When I did the first one for that guy, I thought that for sure I would hate it. Like, I thought putting a holster behind my bino harness, I was like, I'm not going to like this. Like, there's no way that this is going to be comfortable, but he wanted it. And if I could do it, I was going to do it. I got that one finished through to my bino harness and put it on, and I was like, oh, this is really comfortable, actually. Like, and it's so convenient. It just keeps everything tight in one spot, nothing hanging below that. Like, for me, that's become my primary. And even my wife is like, for women, it's comfortable for her too. She enjoys carrying that way too when we're out and wearing vinyl harnesses and doing anything. It's kind of become both of our go-to. As one, when we both did the first one, we're like, yeah, boy, I don't know if I'm gonna like that or not. And then once we finished it, we were like, oh, he's on to something here, because this actually is really comfortable.
Does your setups change between archery and rifle seasons?
Not overly. I mean, I'm gonna pull off my obviously like my archery releases and that type of stuff. But even rifle season, I mean, with where that behind your harness sits, and I wear my harness super high on my chest. It's just what's comfortable for me. I'm the guy that's going to have my binos are going to sit about here because it's comfortable. But with where that pistol still sits, it's still below where I'm still able to shoulder a rifle, and it's not going to be in the way of shouldering that rifle. And for me, that's what's nice with the modular too, is if I do want to move it, I can just throw it down to that pack belt. Like I said, it lives on that. This clip lives on my pack. The old one lived on my pack all the time. That's just was my go-to if I wanted to carry on my pack, was just throw it there, because I mean, I don't love it there all the time. Hiking, Colorado deadfall, having extra stuff on my pack belt is obviously one thing that is like just not my favorite. Going through the timber, going through the deadfall, hiking over things, having stuff there. That's where, like I said, I just love it here because it's out of the way and it's one less thing to worry about. You always know it's there. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
I need to try that. That's always been a popular place since about midway through the war, man. Like, dudes were mounting their holsters right here. I never got into it. It just never felt natural for me. But I mean, you're right, dude. Having more stuff on your waist as you're walking through that deadfall, or because I'm going to Alaska now every year apparently. Walking through the alders, having just more shit right here to get caught on. So I definitely need to give that a try again.
Yeah, like I said, I thought I loved carrying below my harness when that was the first one we came out with, and it was comfortable for me. Like I said, ours, what I throw that holster, we run that hard mount clip, so once you have binos in there on that molly, it's not flapping, it's not bouncing, because it actually hard mounts, and those binos fill out that bino harness good enough that it gives you that stability, that it wasn't ever like flapping or beating me. That's why I don't run an extra strap around on ours, because with a hard plastic mount, you just don't need it, in my personal opinion.
Do you have some baby chicks in the shop with you right now?
Yes, we have 4 baby chicks that you can probably hear cheeping in the back over there. That was requested by my children. We lost, I think, 3 or 4 of our hens this last year between just getting sick, getting old, and then I think we had a dog, maybe get 1 or 2 of them. That tends to happen occasionally when they get let out when they're not supposed to. But yeah, we've got some baby chicks over there. We've got 4 of them. I told them the only way they could get more is if they got 1 Jersey Giant, and that thing is going to be a monster chicken. I think they get like 20 pounds. So I was like, we can only get more if you get 1 of these, just because if we're going to have them, we might as well have at least 1 giant hen. So
that's awesome. Yeah, music to my ears. I went and bought, I think I was going to buy 4, and my kids talked me into getting 6 this weekend. So they're in my rush as well.
We were going to get 2 and we ended up with 4. So I'm pretty sure, according to my wife, that's just how chicken math works, is that you always end up with 2 more than whatever your original plan was.
That's awesome, man.
But no, my daughters take care of them. They sell the eggs. They do all the stuff with the chickens. So it's been a really good opportunity. That's kind of their little side business, is selling eggs. They give a little bit back to us to help pay for food, and then they get to make and earn a little bit of money, not just have an allowance, but they got to feed them, they got to water them, they got to go collect eggs, they got to help clean the pen. It's been a good responsibility teacher for both the 7-year-old and now the 4-year-old is kind of into it. She's very good at procrastinating and finding a way to get out of about any work she can. she understands how to leverage. I need to go find shoes for about 20 minutes until the work is done, and then she'll come out with shoes on. So
I think that's a youngest child thing. 'Cause my daughter is the same way.
Yeah,
she's figured it out on how to manipulate. Like, oh, I was just looking for shoes, and I'm like, they were literally by the door, and it took you 20 minutes to put them on and come outside. Like,
she knew the whole part of the game.
Oh,
but
yeah, she's
a lucrative business for them to be in right now. That's a good deal.
It's done good for them. And obviously winter here in Colorado production wasn't great with chickens, but now it's warming up. They're starting to pick back up, and we end up with plenty of them that we don't go through all of them. So
yeah,
it's awesome, man. Well, Chance, we're rolling up on an hour here, man. What's coming down the pipe for Rut Holsters or the future? I know you're working on the adhesive. Anything else? Any other irons in the fire? Stuff to stay tuned for?
That's our big one right now, is finding out a way for that truck mount to just get it a little bit more, be able to utilize that modular system. And then we're getting ready to come into some show season for us. Obviously, expo season's kind of done. But we partner with Western Hunt Fest a lot here in Colorado. Outdoorsman Days is coming back up. That was a big one last year with the mountain lion build. Dan Gates, who obviously, if you paid attention to any of the mountain lion stuff, I believe he was on with you guys even a few times. He puts on that Outdoorsman Days down in Florence, I want to say is where it's at. So we're going to try and make that one. And then we'll be at all the Western Hunt Fests. I think the first Western Hunt Fest is May 9th and 10th, I want to say, around there. And that one's down actually at the Air Force Academy. So that's going to be a really, really cool event to get to go be a part of. Get to shoot that Air Force Academy course, hang out there. So hopefully that one does good for us. And then New Mexico is my favorite. If you guys, anybody in the New Mexico area, if you're close, that Western Hunt Fest is phenomenal. And they actually added a rifle course this year. It's on NRA Whittington in Raton. So they're actually adding in a rifle shooting course as well this year to go with all the archery courses. That NRA Whittington facility is phenomenal. I think there's 40 different gun ranges that you can go shoot, everything from long range to pistols to skeet to you name it. There at NRA Whittington, they have it all. And it's just a phenomenal facility and just a blast to go down there and hang out with everybody.
That's awesome, man. Awesome stuff. We're super stoked to have you on here, man. Super appreciate you taking the time, and big fans of Rut Holsters and everything that you're doing, Chance, you and your family. So we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was awesome getting to get on and catch up with everybody again. It seems like we talk here and there, but just getting the opportunity to sit down and chat with you guys was awesome.
For sure. Yeah, Kerry, you got any closing thoughts, man?
I don't know, but if you can take any lesson from me, you should probably carry, whether it's against two-legged critters or four-legged critters. Definitely hit up Chance. Yeah.
Chance, where can folks find your stuff?
We're on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook's just Rut Holsters. Instagram is Rut_Holsters. And then the website is just rutholsters.com.
Awesome. Well, definitely, listeners, be sure to go check that out. Shoot Chance a message. Let him know what creative ideas you have. The man's happy to work the problem for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we have some codes that I can get to you guys even just for this podcast one. That'll be a little bit of a discount code. And then obviously full team members, we have some stuff we can do for them as well. So
awesome. Man. We'll put the show notes, and that is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Chance, we appreciate your time, man. And listeners, as always, we appreciate the hell out of you guys. We'll talk to you next week.